Welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. As you guys can see in front of you, I have two Christopher Ward watches. These are both the C63 Sealander. And the reason I have both in front of me is because I put out a community post a few weeks ago asking which one do you guys prefer, the 36 or the 39mm. Now, out of 570 votes, 65% preferred the 39, leaving the remainder preferring the 36mm. And with the release of the C63 Sealander, it actually made me want to get one. I think this is a very good looking sport watch. I love the case that Christopher Ward have done. You know, this light catcher case is probably one of the best cases out there on the watch market. It's made so well. It's got so many great defining features. Overall, I think they offer a very good value for money watch. Now, originally I was sent the C63 36mm. As I said, I want to get my hands on one, and I asked Christopher Ward if they could send me a C63 39mm, to which they obliged. So thank you guys out there on Christopher Ward for sending both in. And of course, it's going to be a great way for you guys to gauge, which one's better, how they both look on a wrist, and what the main differences are. So first off, let's go ahead and compare the specifications. Now, specs wise, both watches are exactly the same. Both have a sapphire crystal, screw down crown, case back, and they both use the Sealander SW200. They're also priced exactly the same at £770 for the 36 or the 39mm. Now, if you get the bracelet version or the leather strap version, I think you're saving about £100. But I'd always recommend getting the bracelet version. I think it just looks so much nicer on there. And, straps are cheap enough for you to always get hold of a strap afterwards. Now, the beauty of this watch and this style, they'll fit a bunch of straps. I've got this on a sort of sporty FKM rubber strap. It's actually from Sealander, and I've got a couple of these straps, and I put them on pretty much most watches. I find it a very comfortable strap, but of course leather is always an option as well. As I said, I think the looks of this watch will suit pretty much anything that you put it on. Now, the differences are going to be, of course, on the dimensions, but is it just the diameter that's affected, or has everything else changed? Let's go ahead and take a look. Now, the diameter on the 39, you guessed it, is 39mm, and it is 36 on the 36. Pretty obvious. Now, when you look at the thickness, the 39 to my right is 11.5mm thick, and the 36 is only 11mm thick. So they have shaved 0.5 of a millimeter. Now, the lug to lug, this is where I think the main difference will be. The lug to lug is 46mm on the 39, and if you add the bracelet, it adds roughly about 5 point something millimeters. So it'll go up to 52mm or thereabouts on a bracelet due to the male end links. Now, with the C63 36, the lug to lug is 42.5mm. Now, I have to say, this is probably one of the shortest, most compact lug to lug watches that I have seen on a 36mm diameter. That is extremely compact. I've not seen anything shorter. Let me just line it up against the 39, and you can see the difference. It is absolutely huge. Now, even with the male end links on this, it brings the overall lug to lug to 47.5mm, which is still well under what you want. Now, luckily the end links on the bracelet do slope down, giving you great comfort on wrist. Now, not only is there a size difference, you do have a very slight visual difference also. Now, when you look at the dials, both have these deep piano gloss black dials, which I absolutely love. And in fact, the 36mm looks far more understated in comparison. Features red accents. You've got a red tip on the second hand, red dots along the hour markers, and a bit of red text just above the date window at 6. And I like the red accents, but I don't mind them not being there on the black dial also. As I said, very understated looks. I think the combination of printed white text, printed logo just below the 12 versus this jet black dial, it looks good. Looks good enough, makes it a very discreet daily sports watch. And with all the brushing on the case, plus those polished highlights that you get on this light catcher case, it's a perfect sports watch in my view. I think it looks very good, and it feels great in hand as well. Now, when we look at the white dial variant, this is where I think the white dial in the 36 looks far too plain for my liking and very drab in comparison to what the 39mm gives you. The 39mm in the white dial gives you these lovely orange accents, and I like how they kind of tie the dial together, and I think that's a great color combination. Now, the 39mm, the one I have, has the Christopher Ward text. That has been now changed. If you go on the website, you'll see the twin flag logo, which is a good improvement. A lot of people do prefer that logo. Now, in terms of the finishing on the hour markers and the hands, nothing has changed. And what I really like about the finishing on the hour markers is these batons are finished so well with lots of micro detailing, linear brushing across those hour markers with a polished bevel edge towards the end. And the handset, similar thing, just a lot of micro detailing, on such a small surface area. And what I particularly like is that hour hand, that sharpness of that tip, and then you've got just brushing going across there, and either side of the arrow you've got highly polished surfaces, and as well on the minute hand, that linear brushing and those polished bevel sides. So there is loads of detail there, and this is what completes that understated look. When this watch goes under direct light, the light just washes off those polished and brushed features, making them really stand out against that jet black piano dial. For me, I would choose the black dial over the white in this. However, on the 39, I'd definitely go for the white dial with those orange accents. Coming back onto the case, I really like how they have the ability to just make these cases bigger and smaller, but retain that comfort that we get on every single one, retain those exact features, those polished bevel lugs around the side of the watch, giving it the iconic light catcher look. And going back to what I said, it's probably one of the nicest cases you can get, sub £1,000, and if not more, they literally do compete with watches up to £2,000 in my opinion. Very nicely done. Now, my struggle was, the right size. So I've wore the 39mm for a few days, and then I wore the 36mm for a few days. I wore them both on these rubber FKM straps, and then also wore them both on this single bracelet. In fact, I had Christopher Ward send out a separate bracelet to me, because when they sent both watches, they both had leather straps. And it was a tough choice. They wear quite differently. They give quite a different experience on wrist. What I found with the 39mm, of course, it had just a touch more weight. It looked a bit more substantial. It covered a bit more of the wrist also. And you had great visibility, and it looked proportionate, but just a touch, I think, on the larger side, obviously in comparison to the 36. Now, it may sound like I'm stating the obvious, and I am, but I'm trying to translate how they feel on wrist. Now, when you put the 36mm on wrist, it's very comfortable, but it does feel a touch small. Now, one of the things which definitely makes this watch wear just a touch too small has to be the lug to lug. As I said at the start of the video, I haven't seen a watch which is around 42.5mm for a 36mm case diameter, and that further shows when you have this on a strap rather than a bracelet. That's when it definitely feels its smallest. Now, as a comparison, I'll bring you the San Martin Tudor homage. This is also a 36mm case, but that lug to lug is 44mm, which is probably a bit more proportional. But I love how compact it looks, and I think it's better probably to look at. And on wrist, this is what makes it feel just slightly undersized. And I think overall, through the days that I wore this watch, I think the 39mm all round, I think, was a better suited watch. It fit well on wrist, well placed, and it had good and decent presence. So my issue lies here. I think I'm going to be that awkward person, and I've never done this before, but I wish there was a 38mm. And that's not me being entirely awkward. I've got a 38mm case here. But the reason I say a 38mm is because when I looked at Christopher Ward, the revamped military series, that is a 38mm case. And that is the most comfortable watch on bracelet I have worn in I think forever. I just did not want to take that watch off. And I know how that felt. And that was perfect for my 6.5-inch wrist. And what I'm saying here is all entirely subjective. It is just down to that wrist size. As I said, going back to 6.5-inch wrist, that 38mm case from the Sandhurst, or I forget, the other one, the military spec that I reviewed, it fit great. I did not want to take it off, and I did want to get that, but that pilot design isn't really for me. So when I saw these much sporty looking watches, and I thought, what, this is the one I should buy if I should buy any Christopher Ward. But after wearing both, if they came out with 38mm, I'd buy it with no questions asked. Now, saying that, if you got a wrist size smaller than 6.5 inches, you definitely want to go for the 36mm. I think it'll wear amazingly well, and you will like this a lot. And the 39, of course, 6.5 inches above, and around the 7.5-inch mark for the wrist, I think that will look spot on. As I said, it's very subjective and wrist size dependent, but for mine and my particular taste, a 38mm is the one. So I hope you guys enjoyed that review, and I hope it answered the question. If that is the question that you're asking, which one do you want to get, 36 or 39? But at the end of it, I think they both are superbly made. And if you get one, it's the build quality definitely is way above what they're actually charging you, representing great value for money from Christopher Ward. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.